Eccoci qua, buon pomeriggio a tutti. Oggi grandissima lezione interattiva con la nostra Stephanie Howell. Okay, ciao Stephanie. Oggi parleremo di social emotional learning combinato con le nostre materie scolastiche. Ma in che senso? Perché combinare social emotional learning con le nostre materie scolastiche e nella fattispecie in storia e che cos'è questo social emotional learning? Ma ce lo spiega Stephanie. Thank you so much for being with us, Stephanie. Today we're going to talk about social emotional learning. And the first question that I want to ask you is, what is SEL, social emotional learning, and why it's important to integrate it in our class?
Yeah, so social emotional learning is really important because it is sometimes how we're feeling at that moment. And
Yeah.
a lot of times our emotions affect how we learn. If I am hungry, I'm not going to be focused on what you're teaching me. I am going to be
Mhm.
focused on that food, right? That's the feeling of hunger that I have in my belly. If I'm
Yeah.
tired, I'm not going to be a good student either because I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be kind of sleepy. I might zone in and out. And so there's different, states that we go through as people. And some of it comes with emotion, right? We kind of talked about hunger or sleep, but what if my parents yelled at me the night before or the
Mm,
morning of and I have a big test, right?
mm.
In high school, I had this huge test, the ACT, and my boyfriend broke up with me the night before. I
No,
know,
rude.
I know. How rude, right? Yeah,
Oh,
no,
rude.
we don't like that guy. I did not marry him.
No. Thankfully, thankfully, thankfully.
So when it comes to SEL and my boyfriend breaking up with me, do you think I did well on that test? No, I had to
No,
retake it. I had to
no.
retake it because I was just so focused more on that moment in my life because he was, my boyfriend. I was like, oh my gosh, I like this guy, right? But
Yeah,
then because of the emotions I had, I didn't do well on the test. And
right.
that's just life, right? We deal with emotions and we can ignore them as much as I want to, right? I want to ignore those emotions. I don't want them to come into play at times when I'm like that to-do list type of person, but
Mm,
they do. Emotions
yeah,
really are a part of learning. And so we've got to be able to check in with our students and we have to be able to know how we can support them when there
yeah.
is sadness or anger or they're hungry.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna quickly briefly sum up what you're saying. So Stephanie sta sottolineando molto molto bene il discorso delle emozioni, quindi tutti noi abbiamo delle emozioni, la fame, l'allegria, la gioia, la rabbia, magari anche degli elementi esterni, un fidanzato un po' monello che ci lascia la sera prima di un insegnamento importante, magari di un esame che purtroppo non passiamo perché pensiamo ad altro, un bisticcio con i nostri genitori la sera prima di un compito di matematica difficile, tutte queste cose che vanno a sommarsi e ci portano ad avere un rapporto purtroppo non, come posso dire, felice con quello che stiamo studiando. Perché? Perché in realtà stiamo pensando ad altro e non siamo focalizzati su quello che dobbiamo fare. Quindi la cosa importante che giustamente dice Stefani è: stiamo attenti alle nostre emozioni. Le nostre emozioni predominano l'80% di quello che noi sentiamo e di quello che viviamo. Se noi viviamo serenamente, tutto ciò che faremo sarà fatto con uno spirito diverso, mentre se noi invece abbiamo dei problemi, ecco che dobbiamo stare attenti a risolverli oppure a tacconarli in modo tale da riuscire a fare le cose che non sono prettamente legate alla sfera nostra emozionale. Quindi questo è molto molto importante e adesso andiamo a vedere con Stephanie che cosa ha creato. So Stephanie, now you have an exercise that combined SEL with history, right? So
Yes.
let's look at it together. So
Okay.
this is a Kami paper that you created. Can you tell us more, a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of take this prompt and I'm actually going to kind of tell you about the event, the
Yes.
life of Stephanie. Okay, so you're going to learn about Stephanie today. We're going to use some low cognitive when I first go over this. So that way
Yes.
you're able to kind of see how this might work in your own classroom. You could
All
ask your
right.
student, tell me the life about you. And so now
Yes.
I've got the life of Stephanie. I'm going to first go with the event. So I was born, so Stephanie was born on September 24th, 1990. And I could go with how was Stephanie feeling, right? But I was a baby. So how was my mom feeling, right? We
Right.
can think about the emotions that my mom
Yes,
or my
yes,
dad, my
yes.
dad was a little upset because he wanted me to be a boy.
Oh,
And I know,
oh,
I know. So what students can do is they can come in here, and I'm just using the typing tool, but there's also a drawing tool. Students can draw
yes,
emotion onto the screen. They can also come in to add media and take a picture of themselves,
yes.
and they
Amazing.
can add
And
their
add
little
design.
images with their emotions as well. Students could also add emojis or add media and find emotions or photos. But what I love about using Cami with this activity is I'm using multimedia to support learning. They're not
Yes,
just typing, they're taking a photo of their emotions, of what's kind of
yes,
going on here. How did
yes,
somebody else feel, right? I think that's a
yes.
hard thing for kids to understand. How does my friend feel when I don't share? How does this person feel if I don't do this? I mean, I'm learning that right now with my 5-year-old son, right? Having those conversations.
Of course, of course.
Explaining our choice. This can be hard for students to
Mhm.
type. But what I love about Cami is in the comment area, students can leave a voice comment, a video comment, or even a screen capture. And so I could
Yeah,
actually screen capture and I could share my screen and I could say, okay, when I was born, my dad was really upset that I was a girl, right? But now he loves me. So we're all good. But I could take this to a photo of me and my dad. I could take this to a video, or I could take that screen to anywhere on the
yes,
page and
yes,
really start to explain why my parents felt a certain way, right? And then I
of
can
course.
go in and I can explain, back in, let's see here, 1996, I went to kindergarten. I can add, what did I feel like when I was entering kindergarten? Was I scared? Was I nervous? Was I excited?
Mhm.
And so again, I can go through those different stages, and students can kind of do this with their life story, or they can kind of explain, how did a friend feel about this, right?
Of
How did
course.
my teacher feel? And so they can take on different perspectives as well.
Of course, of course. So I'm just gonna explain very, very quickly. Qui Stephanie ci ha fatto vedere in poche semplici mosse come utilizzare Kami per sviluppare social emotional learning. Quindi abbiamo usato il text box per scrivere, qui abbiamo usato i media per andare a scattare uno screenshot dei nostri sentimenti, come ci siamo sentiti in questo momento. Qui è il papà di Stephanie che non era tanto contento perché voleva che fosse una femmina, scusate, un maschietto, invece è venuta fuori una femmina, ma adesso comunque è tanto contento. E qua ti dice perché l'hai scelto. E qui, volendo, Stefani ci ha spiegato, chiaramente facendo vedere come utilizzare Kami, il perché e il per come delle sue scelte. E poi qui si va avanti. Quindi qua ci sono una selezione di eventi che grazie a questa parte qui, che è una parte con i media, con i commenti e il text box, ci permette di utilizzare emoji, le parole, lo speech to test, un sacco di cose importanti che ci aiutano a scrivere e esprimere le nostre emozioni e soprattutto a vedere le cose da un altro punto di vista. E questa è la cosa, secondo me, più importante, perché il social emotional learning ci permette proprio di capire le cose da un altro punto di vista e di comprendere l'altro mettendoci nei suoi panni. Thank you, Stephanie. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, let's go down to the next page. So again, this was kind of low cognitive, where it was just about kind of
Yes,
me. But down
yes,
here's an example from history. So I
yes,
love to do this activity with history, where I might have, the 6 wives of Henry, and I can
yes,
go and name them all. And then again, I can use the Cami tools or emojis.
yes,
I could use text just like I did in this example,
yes,
or can use multimedia to really explain their choices on
yes.
how was Kathleen feeling, how was Anne feeling, how was Jane feeling, right? Like, how were they
Oh, yes.
feeling after
Oh, yes.
they
Oh,
married, after
yes.
they died after childbirth, right? Like, you're able to
Oh,
take events that happened in history or in a story and have your students kind of sequence them out. They talk about that person, the main event. How would you feel about this?
yeah,
How would you feel you as his wife and you were, you know, very loved by the people and respected? How would you feel if you gave birth and then, you know, you died right after, right? So
yeah,
how does that make you feel? And so again, it takes you through times in history where this
yeah,
is more a curriculum kind of resource. But again, you can do this low cognitive about a student's week. All right, tell me about your week this week. Think of 6 different things that happened. What happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? I want to know about you. This could be a great start of the year activity.
yeah, yeah.
Or you can add it to a story or within history.
And this is nice because basically what we can do, you can adapt this modus operandi, so this way of thinking to a lot of different things. It's not just about lower cognitive skills, but even higher cognitive skills. Because here, for example, you have to think about you. So you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, but these are special shoes because they're shoes of kings and queens, and so you have to think in the way they were thinking in the past and what happened to them and why they were so sad and why they married Harry, why did he have 6 different wives and so on and so forth. So basically we see history from another point of view, and this is amazing because that's not something that you normally do when you study history. You're kind of a little bit of a parrot. You learn everything by heart, at least in Italy, and then you don't really have the chance to understand the whys and the hows stuff happened. And this is, in my opinion, an added value. And as per usual, you're amazing because
Oh,
that's well, I'm gonna repeat that in Italian. Guardate, questa è un'attività bellissima che Stefani ha creato per noi. Qui noi abbiamo la storia di Enrico VIII e delle sue mogli, ma qui abbiamo una visione diversa del mondo storico, perché qui noi andiamo a ragionare sui sentimenti, le sensazioni che hanno avuto queste regine nel confrontarsi con quello che è successo loro nella vita. E questa è una cosa che normalmente durante le nostre lezioni di storia, che può essere scienze, può essere matematica, può essere qualsiasi tipo di topic che andiamo ad analizzare, purtroppo non andiamo ad affrontare, cioè non andiamo ad affrontare la cosa emotiva, quindi tutto ciò che è spam emotivo, quello noi non lo vediamo. Con queste lezioni abbiamo la possibilità di farlo. Io ho fatto anche un piccolo esempio qui sotto, una versione italiana dove ho messo l'evento, come ti fa sentire e perché lo hai scelto. Anche qua, grazie ad Add Media, il text box sul commento, io posso andare ad aggiungere quello che sento, soprattutto per quanto riguarda, ad esempio, una topic come la seconda guerra mondiale, dove qui abbiamo il nostro avvenimento, qui abbiamo come ci fa sentire e perché abbiamo scelto. Allora qui noi potremmo mettere anche un commento video, come ha fatto Stefani poc'anzi, e quindi vedere la seconda guerra mondiale con un'altra ottica. E questo è veramente un input più uno che normalmente noi non troviamo nei libri, e questa è una cosa molto bella. Stephanie, thank you so much for being with us today. As per usual, you've been amazing and you've got amazing ideas. And I love you so much for that because you give inspiration to us all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
yes, thank you. I'm so excited to see how everyone uses this in their classroom to really build some social emotional learning and to build that context that students are learning about.
Yes, so mi raccomando, vogliamo vedere cosa fate voi con il social emotional learning, e se mettete in pratica gli insegnamenti di Stefani, fatecelo vedere e taggateci sui social. Ciao, grazie.